Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today to learn more about our partner, McGraw Hill. My name is Brady Compton, and I am the Marketing Manager on the Blackboard Partnerships team, and I will be moderating your session today for custom courseware solutions when off the shelf doesn't meet your needs. Just a couple things to remind you. If you have comments or questions, please put them in the chat to the right of your screen, and we will save time at the end of the session for our presenters to address those questions. I'm pleased to introduce our speakers today. We have Jayme Chapman, Bailey Anderson, and Brian Coovert. So thank you all so much for being here today, McGraw Hill, and I'd love to pass it over to you, Bailey.
Thank you so much. Hey everyone, my name is Bailey Anderson. I am a solutions architect here at McGraw Hill, and we are going to be talking through the custom courseware solutions team. So we thought it'd be smart to kick off by kind of giving you an idea of what we do and why our team was created. So we recognize at McGraw Hill that the off-the-shelf solution, the one-size-fits-all, doesn't work for everyone. So what we do is we work on a consultative approach with our instructors at universities across the country and across the world. And what we like to do is work collaboratively with you as instructors or departments, and even at the school level, to identify, create, and implement a tailor-made custom solution that meets your needs. So you may be asking, why is this important? Or maybe this resonates with you, and hopefully that's why you decided to come to our session today. But we recognize that there are some obstacles that instructors have. And I say this from experience. Before I came to McGraw Hill, I worked in higher education for over 13 years, and I have been teaching online for the past 11 years. So I have a lot of experience in building curriculum and identifying courseware for that curriculum. And so when I decided to come to this team, one of the things that really excited me is they understood the obstacles that instructors face when they are choosing the curriculum to support choosing the courseware to support the curriculum that they've developed. And so what we've noticed are a couple common themes. Most of the instructors that we work with are looking really to combine content from multiple sources. So that could be from different textbooks, that could be maybe a combination of OER and maybe content that you've written yourself. And they're really looking to create that unified solution for the course that they're developing. In the past, it's been, all right, have your students buy multiple textbooks. Well, we don't have to go with what we've done in the past. What we really want to do is help you build a comprehensive, cohesive solution for your students. We also know that you want to customize your content. You want to select what resources to make available to your students. And you want to be able to have choice beyond just what's in a prescribed textbook and its supplemental materials. We know that you want to create engaging, active learning activities, whether you're in the classroom, whether you're teaching a hybrid course, or whether you're teaching completely online. It's imperative that your students remain engaged in the content that they're learning. And what we've learned is the lecture is absolutely critical, but it's also critical to reinforce or even introduce that content and support it with these online or digital resources. We know you're looking for some pedagogical flexibility. You want the ability to identify things at the different layers or levels of Bloom's taxonomy. You're looking to maybe have some introductory content from one text, but maybe some higher level content from another text, especially once you get into your 300, 400, or even graduate level courses. And we know that it's critical for you, and you're probably getting a lot of pressure from your institutions that your resources remain affordable. So we keep all of this in mind, and honestly, it's these reasons that our division, the Solutions Architecture team, was created. I mentioned before that you probably are looking to take content from multiple places. Well, one thing that we love to celebrate on our team is that we are happy to take content from wherever it comes. And what I mean by that is if you've developed content or you're willing to develop content for your course, we want to leverage your content. We want to give you access to our full library of resources for you to review and choose from. And we also are open to looking at third party or OER or content that's open source on the web, the internet, or various websites. And what we want to do is we want to work with you collaboratively on identifying those resources and to develop that comprehensive, cohesive solution for your class. One of the things that is important, I think, is for you to understand the process and the approach that we go through and how flexible we like for it to be. So this chart, you'll see it throughout some of the other future slides when Jayme's talking about things we've actually implemented. But we wanted to give you an idea of the holistic approach that we take. And the primary goal is for it to be a flexible configuration. So all the way to the left, you'll see the content sources. I mentioned before, we are happy to take content from any of those sources. And again, you have access to the full McGraw Hill library. Keep in mind that could be text-based, so any of our textbooks that are on the shelf, or even some of our digital content. And so if you are building a science course and you want to use some of the virtual labs, or you're in a business course and you want some application-based activities, we have a wide array of content that we would love to help you identify that would meet the learning objectives for your course. We also often work with faculty who've developed their own content, whether that could be full chapters or a full textbook, or even test pools, worksheets, study guides, any type of content that you've created that you want to be part of this seamless learning experience. We also coordinate often with third parties, and Jayme's going to talk through a really fantastic example where we leverage some third parties in a product that we built. And then again, OER is quite common out in the educational world right now, especially as a result of fast changes with the pandemic. But often OER is not as engaging as one would imagine. It's not quite interactive. So what we can do is we can leverage that OER content, wrap our technologies around it, and help to transition that into a more interactive experience. Once we identify which content sources, we'll transition over to that design and development phase. And this is really where our team comes in and helps to make this just a really smooth process. So we're going to help determine what these project phases look like, the scope and sequence, and then we'll transition into the McGraw Hill tools that we're going to use, whether that be the digital tools or whatever meets the needs of that project, and then deliver it in the mode that makes the most sense to you and to your school, whether that be full LMS integration, leveraging our platform and whatever delivery model works for each of you. So hopefully that gives you at least some foundational understanding of what our team does, but it's hard to understand without looking at some examples. So let me transition this over to Jayme.
Great. Thanks, Bailey. And so Bailey did a great job of explaining the concept and our approach of what we do. And so now I have the pleasure of showing you some real live examples of what we have implemented with partnership with different universities. So jump right into the first example. And so this, I'm going to talk through it about the situation, the challenge that they were facing, and then how we partnered with them to develop the solution. So that's the model we're going to go through here. And in this first example, there was a school that we worked with before, and they were familiar with our technology, but they had transitioned and started using an OpenStax text. And so the OpenStax text content fit well, but they were having challenges with students actually reading the material, or if they were reading it, they didn't seem to be absorbing the main concepts and the things that they wanted them to get out of the reading materials. And so what we did was we worked with the school. So again, this chart that Bailey had up, we worked with the school to create an adaptive ebook, which some of you might know as Smartbook. Some of you might know it as Learn Smart. We're in about our third version of it now. And so what we did is we took the OpenStax ebook. We worked with the school to have a subject matter expert write the questions. And what Smartbook does is it's reading with key concepts that are highlighted. There's questions sort of layered in with it so that we can assess the students as they're reading through, seeing what each individual student knows and where they're struggling. And so based on how that student's responding to the questions, we'll drive them to different sections of the reading. So we created that experience with the OpenStax textbook put it along some of our other ancillary materials, and delivered it in Connect. This one was inclusive access and integrated with Blackboard. So here's what it looked like. This is a screenshot. It was a psychology course, and so you'll see the highlighting there that I referenced earlier in the Smartbook. So forensic psychology, it was a concept they wanted the students to learn. So there were questions authored around that were integrated into the technology to make sure the students were grasping that concept. And on to the example number 2. So this one is a little bit different. Again, it was a McGraw Hill customer of ours, but his passion was to write his own book, his own music appreciation book. And so he wanted it to be engaging. He wanted us to help with the design and different things. And he had some really cool multimedia that he wanted to work into it. Go to the next slide here and take a look. So he wrote the entire manuscript for this book. We took that, we paired it with third-party resources, which in this case was Spotify. He already had a Spotify playlist that he was using in his class, and he wanted a way to integrate it into the reading. So the students could go out and listen to the playlist and the relevant music that he had and tie it right with the reading when they were learning about it. And so we'll take a look in a minute of what that looks like. But what we did was we put his ebook with the Spotify playlist and some videos they created, and we delivered it through Connect. This one did not have an LMS integration, but it could have, and it was also delivered through inclusive access. Okay, so we've got a couple of screenshots on this one. This is his ebook, and the cool thing about it is it came to us as a Word document. So if you think of what this would look like as a flat, static Word document, it's much more engaging. We added design to it, pictures, and of course it takes advantage of all of the features of an ebook that a student would expect, right? You've got highlighting, note-taking, you can download it, access it offline, listen to it. So it functions how an ebook should for students, so we can reach them wherever they are in their reading. And on the next screen, you'll see the Spotify playlist I referenced. You can see he has these listening guide sections and other places even in the ebook where he references that Spotify list, and students can actually click on it and it will open up with single sign-on, so the students don't have to log into Spotify every time, and they can actually listen to the playlist he designed to go along with the ebook. On the next screen, this is some video. This was a really cool personal touch. They had multiple faculty members in the music department record videos. And so they tied these into the ebook as well so that students could access the videos while they were reading in the relevant topic areas. So we were also able to incorporate those videos. It's a really, really cool interactive ebook. All right. Third one, this one's more broad. I feel like we hear this a lot, right? McGraw Hill has a large variety of content, a huge library, and often most of the content could be found there, and most of it works. But every once in a while, there's a different approach or a topic that's completely missing. And so our material, if it's missing that content, we can work with schools to fill that gap with either something they've written or from another source, right? Pull it in, make sure that we cover all of the topic areas in one place. And so that's what happened here. The full textbook worked, but there was one specific topic not covered. And so the school decided to write a chapter on it. And so what we did was, it was international business. You could see we used our Hill title with all the resources. It had a Smartbook, additional interactive exercises in there, case studies, and so the full suite of McGraw Hill products. And what we did is we inserted that author original chapter that the school had written within the Hill textbook. Again, all delivered through our platform, which is Connect, and this one was integrated with Blackboard as well, and also inclusive access. Okay. So this is a screenshot from it, and although this was a Smartbook as well, we're seeing the ebook here, and this social focus chapter is the chapter that the school had written, and you can see we tucked it in right in the middle of the ebook. Students wouldn't notice any difference between this and the Hill title. So it's a nice cohesive delivery. It looks like it's always been there. We designed it to fit within the McGraw Hill ebook, so they're not missing that important topic area. And last example that I have for you is very unique. There was a university that had a business school, and they had a well-established entrepreneurship program. That program, they wanted to take it elsewhere. They wanted to partner with other universities. They wanted to take it around the world, and even partner with different businesses who were looking for professional development type of courses. And so we partnered with them to create a certificate program. The school brought all of the resources. They were currently living in the LMS. And while that worked okay for their students, it was hard for them to take this course and the content to another school that might not use the same LMS, or even just protecting that content was a concern. And so what we did is we took their full manuscript, so it ended up being an ebook. So they had written already an ebook essentially that was living in their LMS just in a PDF. We took their assessment questions. They had these worksheets that students were downloading online and then filling out and handing it in class. Again, that works great for face-to-face, but wasn't so well in a virtual environment, and also not easy to scale it that way beyond the walls of the institution they were teaching at. And so we put everything into Connect. We wrapped our design around it, and we delivered it through inclusive access. You'll see that the lecture portion of this was done in Zoom, but what's really cool about this is that this allowed them to plug this course into another university's LMS that they were partnering with. If it was professional development, they could access the materials right in Connect, and all of their materials were protected. They could be completed digitally, they could be auto-graded. It had all the functionality they needed to be able to share it. And so here's a screenshot of the program. It's 8 modules. Again, a certificate program that we were able to help them scale around the globe. So it was a good success story. And now I'm going to hand it over to Brian, which can explain how we actually do this.
Thanks, Jayme. All right. 1, 2, 4. All right, there we go. So Bailey gave a great introduction, and Jayme showed some really great examples of some of the projects we've worked on. What I'd like to do is kind of take a little deeper dive into our process and what we call collaborative development. And this is the general roadmap we use for our projects, from concept to final delivery, student access, student learning. You know, and the beauty of it is, while we follow this roadmap, it does differ a little from project to project, and I'll explain that a little bit. We begin by understanding the need. I think that this is probably the most important of these 5 steps on our roadmap. You know, we firmly believe that the faculty know their students the best. They know what works in their classroom, in their courses, what doesn't, and that's, you know, something they've learned over the course of time. We like to sit down with the faculty or with the department and understand, okay, what are you trying to accomplish? What have you tried that has not worked? What have you tried that has worked? You know, and we often start this conversation by asking for a pie in the sky vision of what the faculty or the department would like this course or courses to look like. And we found that by asking that question of faculty, you know, it really gets the ball rolling, and you can see them starting to think. You know, you hear it as they're talking through this, and and we encourage them, think as big as as possible. And what we want to do is, through our knowledge of pedagogy, of technologies, how can we help you to get there? So this part of the process, this conversation is always very exciting, especially when faculty may hear that they're able to do things that they perhaps were not aware of, previously. From that need, working through what can be done, what can this look like? We work with faculty to design the plan. And that plan is, what deadlines do we need to hit? What can we expect from faculty, and what can faculty expect from us throughout this process? And again, this gets back to the collaborative piece. This is not something necessarily that that you say, yes, this is what I want to do, and then we don't speak for X number of months, and then we say, here you go. Now, with that in mind, I have worked with faculty that is the way they would like this process to go, and that is fine, absolutely. But generally speaking, the conversation is ongoing throughout the process. So we come up with a design for what this plan is going to look like, what this entire process will look like. From there, we begin developing the learning resources. And that's something we can do in-house. We have an entire group of subject matter experts that we work with. And really, this is our time to pull our resources together to build out that solution. And again, this is something, if the faculty is interested in being a part of this, we like their input through this, showing them what it looks like to this point. Are we meeting, the picture that the faculty had in their head? Once we get through that development and production phase, we implement the solution. And this is something that both Bailey and Jayme have touched on. There's a number of ways that we can implement this. This can be integrated with the LMS. This can be, the access for students can be any number of different methods, inclusive access or access cards in a bookstore. And so really, again, and that's part of it, is finding the right implementation, the right integration, the right access point for faculty and their students. And then this is part of the fifth and final block here on our process is another one that I find to be so important and so valuable: the evaluation and refinement of these projects. None of the projects the examples that Jayme has shown you are set in stone. These projects, they get tweaked. Some of them small tweaks that we can do in between terms. Some of them are larger revisions. As an example, that the music course where the instructor developed his the kind of full-length ebook, that is in a second edition. He decided that he wanted to add a couple chapters, combine some chapters. So big or small, there is always refinement that goes into these projects. And I think that faculty understanding that none of this is set in stone, that there is a fluidity to these projects, I think is very important. Learning, teaching, learning, it is not static. We believe that these solutions have to evolve as teaching evolves, as learning evolves, and so we're able to do that with the faculty member, and it's a really fun part of the process, because it is, hey, we've almost hit everything right, but we could do this and this and this. Great, let's do this and this and this. So it keeps things fresh for faculty and for students. We have a couple questions that have come in, and I would like to address those. We've got, 5-6 minutes. One question that came in is, how long does a project take to build? And I purposely didn't go to a wrap-up slide, because this one I saw came in, and it refers back to this process. And this is the least popular answer, but it depends. The length of time for the build of a project, the development of a project, it depends on what that solution is. There are some faculty members we work with that solution, that pie in the sky, is very, very complex. And in working with a project that is incredibly complex, that takes a longer period of time to develop. And that's in each of the 5 phases there of the development are elongated, because it's a longer conversation. It's a longer designing the plan, development, etc. Other faculty members have a less complex solution. I will say less complex because I think there's negative connotation to saying a simpler solution, but a less complex solution that is exactly what they need. And within that, we can shorten that collaborative development process. To give you a number, generally speaking, I think on the shorter end, we could do a less complex project in 3 to 4 months. And then knowing that music project, that was something that lasted almost a year. throughout the development process. So it varies quite a bit, and it's based on the complexity of the solution that the faculty helps to create. Another question is, what discipline areas can be built into these projects? We can build any discipline area into these projects. We are pulling for each of these, we like to, discuss it as a blank slate. Again, what's that pie in the sky vision? So we're pulling resources from McGraw Hill, from external resources, from resources that you might create as a faculty member. And so we work in any number of discipline areas. And at this point, have worked in the majority of discipline areas across hard sciences, soft sciences, business and economics. So we're able to work with any discipline area that you might teach. One more question I see coming in here. How do you offer support for students for these customized projects? We have a dedicated, the same as if you were to use a national product from McGraw Hill, we have our dedicated customer experience group that serves as technical support for students. So this is not something, this is not something where you would need to serve as technical support. The shell technology, the platform, the same, and so you don't need to do any extra, wear any extra hats within this process. We take care of that. And one more question I just saw that came in: can you alter McGraw Hill content or use two different texts in one course? Absolutely. This is not. We can do what we call a mashup of McGraw Hill content. The idea of pulling from multiple sources. That can be multiple McGraw Hill sources, and we've done that with 4 or 5 sources. Chapters pulled here and there. So we can absolutely, as we're pulling content from different places, multiple McGraw Hill sources are also part of that. Please feel free to ask any other questions if they pop up. With that, I would like to say thank you, obviously, but also to again remind you of Bailey, Jayme, Brian, our names. We have a link to our Custom Courseware Solutions website, which shows white papers, case studies of some of these projects, and then there is a link to the Find a Custom Solution that's right for you, and that kind of walks you through some of the beginning parts of the conversation, gets you thinking about what might be the right solution. With that in mind, I don't see any other questions. If you have a question, this is a great time to ask that. We'll give it another second. But in the meantime, I'd like to say thank you very much for your time, for listening to Bailey and Jayme and myself. This is something we're very excited about, very passionate about, and would look forward to having a conversation about some of the solutions that might be right for you. All right, going once, going twice on the questions. If there's nothing else, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great weekend. Hopefully it's sunny wherever you are. And we hope to talk to you soon. Take care. Thank you.
Hey, Brian, sorry to jump in. There was one question that just got added. So they heard the countdown and they were like, so will those resources that are exclusive to the university, or is it open for other users to also include their own content?
This is, I'm sorry, I'm going to actually read that question. I'm more of a visual person. Okay, so, it depends, and we've got the 1-minute warning. So there are some of these resources, some of these projects can be used at other universities. Others that are more school specific, we find to be better tailored, used just at that school. However, we can replicate, start to look at some things and replicate that idea at other schools. So the answer again is, it depends. It depends on what project you might be looking at and what solution. Is it too school specific? Again, the music course has references to that school throughout, probably too school specific, but there are ways that we can essentially replicate a project at at other universities. So, there's really, I will leave it with this. There's not a hard and fast answer to a lot of these questions. It's part of the solutioning conversation that we can have to really figure out what is best used and where. So we are, this is like I'm getting the music, I'm getting played off. So word show. So again, thank you so much for your time. We very much appreciate it and look forward to hopefully speaking with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.